The last week of February 2000, Rajouri sector of Jammu and Kashmir. A thick sheet of snow covered the mountains. The night temperature was so low that steam came out of the mouth while breathing. Even in such an environment, the soldiers of our 17 Maratha light infantry were fully alert at the Ashok listening post. Eyes open, guns ready. This post was not just a picket. From a strategic point of view, it was the most important position in that entire area.
The biggest challenge was that it was surrounded by Pakistani posts on three sides, like a lonely deer in a forest surrounded by hunters. The night of February 27 suddenly broke apart. Heavy mortar shelling started from the Pakistan side. Shells began to rain one after another. The sound of explosions echoed in the mountains. Our soldiers also replied firmly without backing down. Every soldier knew that this post was not to be left at any cost. But this shelling was not just an attack. It was a curtain, the first curtain of a very cunning conspiracy.
Under the cover of that noise and darkness, Pakistan pushed 25 of its chosen terrorists across the LOC, wearing the uniforms of their elite SSG, Special Service Group. These were no novices. They were Pakistan's most dangerous, most trained, and most ruthless fighters. They kept crawling toward our bunkers in the dark like cats. When they got very close, they suddenly started indiscriminate firing. In the front line was Sepoy Bausahab Maruti Talakar. Like a true Indian soldier, he did not step back for a single moment. No matter how large the enemy's numbers were, he stood his ground. But the darkness gave the enemy an advantage they would never get during the day. That bloody gang was led by a man whose name the whole world would tremble to take in the coming years. He attacked Talekar from behind, slit his throat, and that night, the head of that brave soldier was severed from his body. 7 of our brave soldiers were martyred that night, and that beast picked up the severed head like a trophy and walked back toward POK in the darkness of the night. But the most shameful, most hair-raising part of this whole incident was yet to come. That beast reached directly to Pakistani General Pervez Musharraf with that head. Musharraf, who later became the president of Pakistan, congratulated him and called him a hero of Pakistan. That same night, a monster got his wings. His name was Ilyas Kashmiri.
On February 10th, 1964, in the Bhimber district of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, a child was born who looked like any other child. His parents named him Muhammad Ilyas. Growing up, he enrolled in the Allama Iqbal Open University in Islamabad to study communications. In the beginning, everything was normal.
But college days proved to be a different kind of school for him. There, he met radical jihadists. The things they put in his mind gradually took root. Books were left aside, and the fire of jihad began to burn within him. One day, he left the university and reached the Jamia Ulum ul Islamia Seminary in Karachi. It was the 1980s. This was no ordinary madrasa. It was a machine that hollowed out children and youth from the inside and turned them into weapons of terror. Very few people who came here returned to normal life. Ilyas came here, and this place changed his life forever. In the madrasa, he met ISI officers and Pakistani army generals. The fire they saw in this boy was useful to them. They recruited him into the SSG, Pakistan's most dangerous commando force. Pakistan had found a weapon that could go to any length if needed. In the 1980s, the Soviet army was crushing Afghanistan. This was the era when the American CIA, Pakistani ISI, and billionaires like Osama bin Laden were working together for one goal: to drive the Soviet army out of Afghanistan. The Mujahideen were getting money, weapons, and training. Ilyas was sent to Miran Shah in North Waziristan. His job was to train Afghan Mujahideen to lay landmines. But one day, fate extracted a heavy price from him. During a bloody encounter in the Afghan mountains, Ilyas was badly injured in a massive explosion. That blast took away one of his eyes and cut off the index finger of his right hand. He was very close to death, but he survived. And those who return after seeing death often return even more dangerous. After the Afghan war ended and the Soviet army withdrew, Pakistan now had a man who was seasoned in the Afghan war, had tested himself, and was still alive. In 1991, he was made the chief commander of Harkat-ul-Jihad al-Islami, Huji, for Jammu and Kashmir. With this, preparations were made for a new storm in the Kashmir Valley. Ilyas made his base in the Kotli area of POK. From here, he raised a unit whose name made even terrorists sweat, Brigade 313. This was no ordinary terrorist gang. To join it, one had to pass rigorous physical and mental tests. Only those were chosen who were ready to go to any extent, without any question, without any hesitation. The Kashmir Valley was soaked in blood in those days. Consignments of weapons and terrorists were coming from across the border. Ilyas had become a big part of this entire network. During this time, Maulana Masood Azhar entered India with a fake passport. Our security forces caught him in Anantnag.
This was a big blow for Pakistan. Their biggest pawn was in an Indian jail. To free Masood Azhar, Ilyas hatched a conspiracy that would cause an international stir. He, along with another dangerous terrorist, Omar Saeed Sheikh, kidnapped 4 foreign tourists from Delhi, including American and British citizens. The idea was to put international pressure on India by showing the threat to foreign lives and get Mastodon released. These hostages were kept hidden in a secret house in a densely populated area of Saharanpur, Uttar Pradesh. But Ilyas forgot one thing. He had messed with India. The UPSTF and the Delhi Police Special Cell worked day and night. They gathered intelligence, wove a web, and one day raided that safe house. Bullets were fired from both sides. Omar Saeed Sheikh was injured, fell, and was arrested. All foreign hostages were rescued safely. Not even a scratch came to them. Ilyas was there that day, but he escaped like smoke in the dark. 1995. Ilyas once again crossed the border and entered the Poonch area of Kashmir. This time, he had another dangerous companion with him, Nasrullah Mansoor Langrail. But this time, luck did not favor him. During a routine check at a Poonch checkpost, the soldiers grew suspicious of these two. When identified, the army was stunned. These two were no ordinary infiltrators. The Indian army nabbed both of them.
Ilyas was put in a high-security jail. He remained behind bars for about 2 years. But then, what should not have happened, happened. With the collusion of some corrupt officials inside the jail, Ilyas escaped one day. This was a very painful and shameful moment for India. Langriel is still in jail today, but Ilyas reached Pakistan. The welcome he received from the ISI and terrorist leaders there was no less than that of a king who had won a war. In the world of terrorists, he had now become a living legend.
September 11th, 2001. Al-Qaeda flew 2 planes into America's World Trade Center. Thousands were killed. World politics changed forever. America gave a clear ultimatum to Pakistan. You are either with us or with the enemy. To save his seat, Musharraf announced his support for America. Pakistan was now an ally of America in the war on terror. This decision made Ilyas furious.
He felt the Pakistani army had sold out jihad. He rejected every pressure from the ISI. In 2002, when the ISI told him to shut down Brigade 313 and join Jaish-e-Mohammed, he flatly refused. In December 2003, he did something that perhaps no one had imagined. He plotted to blow up his own master, General Pervez Musharraf, with a bomb. The attack failed. The Pakistani army caught him. 4 years. 4 long, dark years he spent in a Pakistani jail. He endured torture and loneliness. When he came out in 2007, he was an even more dangerous person. In 2007, an incident occurred in Islamabad that shook the foundations of Pakistan. Just 2 kilometers from the National Assembly, 2 radical brothers, Abdul Aziz and Abdul Rashid Ghazi, had turned the Lal Masjid into a fortress of terrorists. Thousands of brainwashed students from the madrasas attached to the mosque were given the shape of an army. They created havoc in Islamabad in the name of implementing Sharia law. They kidnapped Chinese citizens and threatened to throw acid on women. China was enraged. Pressure mounted on Pakistan. In July 2007, the Pakistani army launched Operation Silence on its own mosque in its own capital. Abdul Aziz was caught trying to escape wearing a burqa. Ghazi was killed by bullets. More than 100 people were killed. This incident completely awakened the sleeping demon within Ilyas. He openly declared jihad against the Pakistan government. Now he was not a pawn of the ISI. He had become a close associate of Osama bin Laden and was soon declared the global commander of Al-Qaeda. Brigade 313 was now more powerful than ever. Radicals from Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, and Lashkar-e-Jhangvi joined him. Even some former officers of the Pakistani Army and Air Force joined his organization. He was now a force that was not easy for anyone to stop. In 2008, former SSG chief General Amir Faisal Alvi was shot dead in the middle of the road. In 2009, a Faidiin attack took place at the ISI headquarters in Lahore. The GHQ in Rawalpindi, the Pakistani Army's most secure base, was targeted.
All this was at the behest of Ilyas. He was telling the Pakistani army, "You made an enemy of the wrong man." And his hatred for India was still the same, burning, refusing to be extinguished. November 26th, 2008, Mumbai. David Coleman Headley, a Pakistani-American terrorist, had spent months roaming Mumbai to scout every important location. Taj Hotel, Nariman House, CST Station. He measured everything. But Headley was not just a pawn of Lashkar. When Headley was caught by the FBI, he made a shocking revelation. He immediately recognized the voice giving instructions to the terrorists on the phone during 26/11. The man sitting in the control room in Karachi, inciting Lashkar terrorists to fire bullets, was Ilyas Kashmiri. He was also behind the German bakery bomb blast in Pune in February 2010. In 2009, he planned an attack on the office of a Danish newspaper, Project Mickey Mouse. Sitting in a tent in Waziristan, he told Headley in detail how the heads of the editor and cartoonist should be cut off and thrown out of the windows onto the street, and all this should be recorded on camera. He wanted to turn death into a horror show for the whole world to see and tremble. The FBI and European intelligence agencies caught Headley and his associate Tahawar Rana just in time. Europe narrowly escaped a major bloodbath. In December 2009, the CIA's most secret location in Afghanistan, Camp Chapman, was targeted by a suicide bomber. 7 senior CIA officers were killed. The investigation again pointed to one name: Ilyas Kashmiri. Now, in the eyes of America, he was an enemy equal to, or even more active and dangerous than, Osama. In August 2010, the U.S. State Department declared him a global terrorist and put a $5 million reward on his head. He was number 4 on Pakistan's own most wanted list. In jihadi circles, it was openly being said, he is the next Osama of Al-Qaeda.
May 2, 2011, Abbottabad. U.S. Navy SEAL helicopters crossed the Pakistan border in the dark of night. Osama bin Laden was killed in his bedroom in a white compound. Pakistan was stripped bare before the whole world. America's anger was at its peak. Immediately after the elimination of Osama, the CIA chief placed a list of 5 high-value targets before the ISI. The warning was clear.
Catch them, or we will come in again. The first name on the list was Ilyas Kashmiri. June 2011. Ilyas was on the run. He was constantly changing locations and disguises. Fleeing from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, he was coming toward the Wana area of South Waziristan. But he did not know that CIA satellites in the sky and Predator drones hovering among the clouds were recording his every move. ISI ground informants were also now giving his location to the Americans to save their own lives. June 3, 2011, night. In the Laman village of the Gwakwa area of South Waziristan, there was a deserted apple orchard. In the middle of that orchard was a mud and brick house. Ilyas was sitting in that house with 8 of his companions, drinking tea and strategizing for the next attacks. It was 1:15 a.m. There was silence all around. But above that silence, death was hovering in the clouds. In the CIA control room in Virginia, 9 heat signatures were clearly visible on an operator's screen via thermal imaging. 9 bodies sitting, unaware. The operator pressed a button. 4 Hellfire missiles. In the blink of an eye, first the orchard burned, then the house. The sound of explosions tore through the night. A terrible cloud of fire and smoke rose. When the smoke cleared, where the house once stood, there was only rubble and ash. Ilyas Kashmiri and his 8 companions were turned to dust. His body was never found in that Taliban-controlled area. No picture ever came out. But a few hours later, the Huji spokesperson and then Al-Qaeda officially accepted Maulana Ilyas Kashmiri has been martyred in an American drone attack. The man who had severed the head of an Indian soldier, who had helped bathe the streets of Mumbai in blood, who had taken the lives of CIA officers, who had conspired for massacres in Europe, and who had tried to make the whole world tremble with the terror of his jihad. He finally turned to ash that night in an apple orchard in Waziristan. The character of Major Iqbal in the film Vishwarupam is inspired by the life of this beast. Some stories are told only so that we remember how much darkness there is in the world, and also that to erase that darkness, our soldiers stand on those mountains every night, in the cold, in the dark, without any noise. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.